जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन। यमुना तीरावनचारि। यमुना तीरावनचारि। यमुना तीरा वनचारि। जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। जय प्रभु प्रभुपद प्रभुपद। जय प्रभुपद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शिष्य अभय चरणारविंद भक्तिवंत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से को श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा गोपी जना वल्लभ गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। मायापुर नवदीप धाम की जय। पुरुषोत्तम श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। संवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर हरि प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All grace assembled devotees, all grace assembled devotees, all grace Shri Guru and Gaurang Jat Guru Srila Prabhupada की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। स एष प्रकृतिं सूक्ष्मां दैवीं गुणमयीं विभो यदृच्छयैवोपगताम् अभ्यपद्यत लीलया। अभ्यपद्यत लीलया। Saesha Prakritim Sukshma Daivim Gunamayim Vibhum Yadrichyayo Bhagatam Abhyapadyata Leelaya. Saesha, that same Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prakritim, material energy. Sukshmam, subtle. Daivim, related to Vishnu. Gunamayim, invested with the three modes of material nature. Vibhu, the greatest of the great. Yadrichaya, of his own will. Eva, quite. Upagatam, obtained. Abhyapadyata, he accepted. Leelaya, as his pastime. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As his pastime, that Supreme Personality of Godhead, the greatest of the great, accepted the subtle material energy which is invested with the three material modes of nature and which is related with Vishnu. Purport: in this verse, the word Gunamayim is very significant. Daivim means the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Gunamayim means invested with the three modes of material nature. When the material energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears, this Gunamayim energy acts as a manifestation of the energies of the three modes. It acts as a covering. The energy emanated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests in two ways: as an emanation from the Supreme Lord and as a covering of the Lord's face. I repeat, the energy emanated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests in two ways: as an emanation from the Supreme Lord and as a covering of the Lord's face. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that because the whole world is illusioned by the three modes of material nature, the common conditioned soul, being covered by such energy, cannot see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The example of a cloud is very nicely given. All of a sudden, there may appear a big cloud in the sky. This cloud is perceived in two ways. To the sun, the cloud is a creation of its energy, but to the ordinary common man in the conditioned state, it is a covering to the eyes. Because of the cloud, the sun cannot be seen. It is not that the sun is actually covered by the cloud, only the vision of the ordinary human being is covered. Similarly, although Maya cannot cover the Supreme Lord who is beyond Maya, the material energy covers the ordinary living entities. Those conditioned souls who are covered are individual living entities, and he from whose energy Maya is created is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In another place in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first canto, 7th chapter, it is stated that Vyasadeva, by his spiritual vision, saw the Supreme Lord and the material energy standing behind him. This indicates that material energy cannot cover the Lord, just as darkness cannot cover the sun. Darkness can cover a jurisdiction which is very insignificant in comparison to that of the sun. Darkness can cover a small cave, but not the open sky. Similarly, the covering capacity of the material energy is limited and cannot act on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is therefore called Vibhu. As the appearance of a cloud is accepted by the sun, so the appearance of the material energy at a certain interval is accepted by the Lord. Although his material energy is utilized to create the material world, this does not mean that he is covered by that energy. Those who are covered by the material energy are called conditioned souls. The Lord accepts the material energy for his material pastimes in creation, maintenance, and dissolution. But the conditioned soul is covered. He cannot understand that beyond this material energy, there is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. who is the cause of all causes, just as a less intelligent person cannot understand that beyond the covering of the clouds there is bright sunshine. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kata Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shivada Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagan Raghunathanitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagan Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanuse Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpatarupesya Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. So, as usual, I would like to start by admitting my disqualification to speak, because I am the conditioned soul who is covered by the three modes of material nature, helplessly being tossed in the waves of the modes of material nature. So, again, reading the translation. As his pastime, that Supreme Personality of Godhead, the greatest of the great, accepted the subtle material energy, which is invested with three material modes of nature, and which is related with Vishnu. So we can start off this discussion by exploring the idea that Krishna is full of knowledge, full of bliss, and eternal. So Srila Prabhupada says something really, really wonderful. I am just quoting His Holiness Sachinandan Maharaj, he spoke this at his Vyas Puja lecture. So Sachinandan Maharaj was quoting this from Srila Prabhupada, from a book written by Srila Prabhupada before Srila Prabhupada came to the West. Srila Prabhupada wrote a book, and I forget the name of that book, but Srila Prabhupada writes that how is it possible that in our day-to-day life, in our day-to-day life, how we can carry on with our Krishna consciousness? How can we tolerate the modes of material nature? How is it possible? So Srila Prabhupada says, by remembering that every day we are paving our way back to Godhead. We are going back to Godhead. We're going closer and closer back to Godhead. In that way, we can tolerate the sufferings or the modes of material nature in our life. So that's the way we remain enthusiastic and we remain determined. So the three modes of material nature, they have a purpose. The purpose is to help us to serve the Lord. Actually, there's nothing wrong with the three modes of material nature. But as devotees, we have to learn how to spiritualize it. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a person. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has activities. He performs activities. So the only difference between the activities that we do and he does is that we do for our own happiness and he does for the happiness of his devotees. And the main difference is the quality. The quality. So if we can just change the quality, change the consciousness of whatever we do, then there is nothing wrong with any of the modes of material nature. So, like we see that uh, pure devotees, they use the mode of ignorance to chant the holy name. And in the same way, we can use the mode of, even the mode of passion. Narottam Das Thakur says, I will use the mode of passion to serve the Lord. And I will become so passionate, so eager to satisfy the senses of the Lord using the mode of passion. So we have to learn from the pure devotees how to utilize whatever we have, whichever situation we may be in, how we can utilize that to serve the Supreme Lord. And we have to keep adjusting our consciousness and adjusting our method of practicing Krishna consciousness. So the example of the cloud is very important, that for us, the cloud is a big covering, and for Krishna, the cloud is insignificant. There is a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita saying that how the illusory energy of Krishna is ashamed to stand in front of the Lord. So if we keep bringing Krishna actively in our life, by taking shelter of Krishna, by having a sincere desire to please Krishna, to love Krishna, then automatically the material energy will be transformed into spiritual energy. So there are many examples of this in our Vaishnava literature on how to transform the material energy into the spiritual energy. And the best example, of course, is Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada used everything in the service of Krishna. And that's what it actually means to be Krishna conscious. So to be Krishna conscious means to use everything in the service of Krishna. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Raghunath Das Goswami that, of course, Raghunath Das Goswami is an eternally liberated soul, but Mahaprabhu told him that don't be a monk, instructing us, don't be a monkey renunciant, go home and externally behave the way you are expected to behave, but internally cultivate your deep attachment to Krishna. So what does that mean? That means that spiritualize everything. Spiritualize everything, use everything in the service of Krishna. And the most important aspect of utilizing everything in the service of Krishna is Shri Shri Radha Gopi Jana Vallabh Saipadaman Gauri Jadguru Srila Prabhupada Ji. So the most important aspect of utilizing everything in the service of Krishna is Shri Shri Radha Gopi Jana Vallabh. Because the most important aspect is the Lord. And how do we develop attraction to Krishna? How do we realize Krishna? By pleasing the devotees. By pleasing the devotees. So by the pleasure of the devotee, you're going to get so much more than you can get by any other process. And today, primarily, I'm going to focus on spreading Krishna consciousness, because that's what our movement is all about. Why did Srila Prabhupada have so much faith that our movement will grow? Why did Srila Prabhupada have so much faith that the devotees in our movement will survive? Why did Srila Prabhupada have so much faith that not only they will survive, but they will make great advancement? Because Srila Prabhupada had unflinching faith. Srila Prabhupada eternally has, in the principle of preaching. So Srila Prabhupada himself demonstrated that, although he's a liberated soul, that how powerful preaching is and how powerful it is to help others in Krishna consciousness. How it is so powerful by helping others in Krishna consciousness uh, to make advancement. So we have to be very, very greedy to see this opportunity. See, actually, preaching is actually Vrindavan mood. Because what is a preaching? What is the mood of a preacher? I mean, I don't want to use the word preacher, but what is the mood of a devotee? The mood of a devotee, especially in our sampradaya, we are uh, Rajesha Tanaya Tadhama Vrindavanam. So we are uh, we aspire to be Brajvasis. So our mood is that everyone can become a Brajvasi. Everyone can become an associate of Braja. Why? Because what is the qualification to be an associate of Krishna and Braja? Simply to develop spontaneous love for him. There's no other qualification. So we have complete faith that everyone has that opportunity. You don't have to be born a Brahmin family. You don't have to be born a special family. You don't have to make, do all the rituals and rules and regulations. If you simply accept this idea of loving Krishna, you just entertain that idea in your mind, you immediately become qualified. So that's what Srila Prabhupada gave us. Srila Prabhupada said, here is Krishna, just love him. You have the opportunity, you have the facility to love. So Krishna is here, just offer whatever love you have in your heart, offer it completely to Krishna. So what we have to understand is that this process of giving Krishna consciousness to others will greatly purify us, will greatly enliven us. We will be the greatest beneficiary in this whole process of spreading Krishna consciousness, because we will become very dear to Krishna. And the more we can feel the suffering of the people who we are preaching to, and the more we can identify ourselves with them by approaching them as a friend, as as their counterpart, or as their just their friend, then we will make a lot of advancement. Because when we approach them as a friend, then we will become humble. If we walk in front of them, we speak to them like, oh, I'm a devotee practicing for 10 years, I do 16 rounds, I do so many services, I have read so much of Bhagavatam, etc, etc, etc. So if we approach them from that perspective, we won't be able to connect to them, and it will not purify us. It will not bring us to our humble position. But if we approach them like yesterday, I mean, it was a wonderful experience. This person was actually smoking, and when I went to him, uh, I told him that I took the book Chant and Be Happy. I said that real happiness comes from spirit, doesn't come from matter. We're all looking for it. So here it is. And and I added one line that I said that before I accepted this path, even I had so many bad habits. And of course, I was eating boba all the time. So nothing worse than that, eating sin every moment. So I said had so many bad habits, but I've overcome those bad habits. So as soon as I said that statement, he became very attracted. He said, because he could relate with me. So when we relate with people, and then after speaking that, uh, he saw the picture of John Lennon and he was quite impressed. Said, okay. Then after that, I opened the book, I opened the page, and I made him chant the Mahamantra. And after I made him chant the Mahamantra, he said, wow, I feel really good now. I feel really good. Then, of course, we had to go for the program. But the point is that simply the goal of our life is to make people feel good. People, if they can feel good, if they have a positive impression, means we have done the job, at least the preliminary job. So we have to engage in this process of giving Krishna consciousness to others. And it starts with actually feeling for them. We have to feel for them. Not just to feel for their suffering, but to feel how much they're missing out on the joy of Krishna consciousness. So when we feel that, oh, they're missing the joy of Krishna consciousness, then in that we also, in our own heart, we will increase our appreciation for whatever we have. So that is very important. Um, we can become humble only when we start becoming grateful. If we are not grateful, my revered Shiksha Guru said that if you are not grateful, you will definitely lose what you have. It's guaranteed. So we have to be very grateful. And it um, all starts with our behavior toward the devotees. So we have to be very sensitive, and we have to understand that, see, these devotees, they are very dear to Krishna. And the best way we can serve them, first of all, is by having a sincere desire uh, to please them. Sincere desire to please them. And how do we please them? By first, when we appreciate them. When we genuinely, sincerely, when we appreciate them, when we appreciate their spiritual qualities, and we actually take it as a responsibility. I'm speaking about the devotees that we live with, to give them affection, of course, in a Krishna conscious way, but it's very important. It's our responsibility to be affectionate towards them. Because when we are affectionate towards devotees, then we can feel for devotees, then only can we feel for Krishna. So this is very important. This is really important. So when we start becoming grateful to devotees that we live with, then eventually we can start becoming grateful to the service that we have, and then we can eventually be grateful for having Krishna in our life, for having Srimati Radharani in our life. So that's the way it works. It all starts with devotees. How much ever puja we may do to Radha Gopishana Vallabh, I was sharing this to Achyutal Prabhu. Today I was just asking for blessings of him and Raghunath Govind Prabhu. And they said, Prabhu, you are serving them directly. I said, if I think that I want their blessing, direct blessings, that's Maya. Because why? I mean, just for the sake of discussion, in that song, Narottam Das Thakur says that um, Lalita Vishaka Yadi Jata Sakhi Vrinda Agyaya Koribo Seva Charanara Vinda. So if you want to serve Krishna, you want to serve the divine couple, then you need the order of Lalita and Vishaka. So in the same way, if you want to serve Krishna as a goal of our life, then we need the order of devotees. We need to please devotees. So how much ever service we may do directly to the deities or to Krishna, we should always understand that actually we are the servants of the devotees who are with us, who are in front of us. So we have to have that very concretely fixed in our mind. And we'll only have that service attitude if we are very careful in our dealing with them. We'll be very careful in the dealing with the devotees, which means that trying to help them in going closer to Krishna, going closer to Krishna. So in Nectar of Instruction, it is said that how a pure devotee, the symptom of a pure devotee is he has no propensity to criticize others. In his Holiness Ranath Maharaj says, that is a chief symptom we can understand whether we're making advancement or not. Like this morning, what happened? When I was making the Aarti plate, I saw the Aarti paraphernalia was not cleaned properly. And I'm just being very honest. I became very upset. seeing that. I said, what is this? What is this so black? Then I thought to myself, I kind of told myself that, okay, maybe they just didn't know. They just didn't know how to clean it. Probably they washed it and they just left it to dry, and they didn't realize that they actually have to wipe it. So then I just changed my thought process, and that helped me a lot. So we have to be very respectful, and we have to train ourselves to see the spiritual aspect of the devotee. That's the real aspect of a devotee. So when we train ourselves to see, then only we will lose the propensity to criticize them. And when we lose the propensity to criticize them, only then will we get the power to please them. And then only by pleasing them will we become dear to Krishna. So I just want to end with a short pastime that His Holiness Dhannath Maharaj was sharing this very nice. He said that Bhagavad Prabhu is doing that right now. So Shyamananda Pandit, uh, he was actually doing this very, very simple service. Dukhi Krishna Das was doing this service of sweeping the groves of that Seva Kunj area. And what was the quality of his service? He was sweeping the courtyard uh, with so much gratitude, with so much happiness, and he was completely satisfied and completely grateful for the service that he received. And every day he was doing with such gratitude, with such happy, he was so happy to be engaged. And because of that, Srimati Radharani became so attracted to him, and she decided by her own individual, independent desire to leave her ankle bells there. So uh, we have to be very grateful and very happy with our own life. And this is only by the mercy of the devotees. Only by the mercy of the devotees' words have such great power, such great benediction. Like His Grace Advaita Prabhu was telling on Saturday about how a proper disciple took darshan of Radha Gopishna Vallabh, and it was such an astonishing darshan. So I was thinking to myself that, I never experienced this in my life. I cannot relate with this. And when will I ever experience this? When will I see the Lord? And lo and behold, the next day when I took darshan of the deities, I felt something special in my heart. Of course, I am nowhere close, but I felt something special. And then I realized that, wow, that we hear in the scripture that just by seeing Krishna one time is enough to get prema. So I realized that it's true that we have so much opportunity to do that. And so more and more we realize, more and more we have experiences with a humble heart, we have to share it with others. This is our prime responsibility. Of course, we have to mature our own sadhana. We have to focus on our own sadhana, no doubt. But we have to have this preaching spirit. Preaching spirit starts with feeling for them, feeling that they're missing Krishna. That's the important feeling. Not just feeling for their suffering alone, but especially feeling that they're missing this joy of Krishna consciousness. So unless we are joyful, we are grateful, and we're humble, we cannot actually give them that good feeling. So they have to feel that this person, he doesn't want anything from me, and the only thing he wants is he wants to improve my quality of life. So we have to make them feel that. So when we make them feel that, and we speak about Krishna, we speak about how attractive, how sweet Krishna is, then they become attracted. They become attracted. And in this way, as we engage more and more in this service of spreading the word to especially new people, see, new people is very important, because new people, if you preach to new people, if you give a book to a new person, then that person's life changes so much. So we have to, His Holiness Jared Maharaj said one time one thing so wonderful, that he said that if we don't go out and spread the message, If we just stay in the temple, locked up, then we will just end up in quarreling. So I mean, we have to have this tendency or this nature of spreading Krishna consciousness. And it all starts with Srila Prabhupada's books. Prabhupada's books are very attractive and very practical. So we have to give those books to others. We have to. And for that, of course, we have to read the books, we have to understand the books, and we have to love the books. And in this way, we have to spread this message to people more and more and more and more, as much as we can, as much as we can. So that is the prime method of making advancement in this age of Kali. That is what the Goswamis did, what the Acharyas did by chanting so many rounds, doing so many parikramas. Srila Prabhupada is giving it to us so easily by spreading the message of Krishna consciousness. So this act of spreading Krishna consciousness, if it is done with a humble heart, with a deep desire to benefit them, and like just with very simple, with a lot of simplicity, just like, I'll give you a wonderful example. This is another story by His Holiness Sachinandan Maharaj. It's very moving for me. And honestly, to be very honest, this story actually is uh, the best example of what preaching actually means. So one time, some devotees were traveling in Tamil Nadu region. They were traveling in South India, and there was this one lady who was actually, by profession, she was a prostitute. And I mean, although she had that profession, she was quite cultured, and she lived in a very palatial mansion. So few devotees were traveling, and they were walking and preaching, and they, by the end of the day, they became very tired. So they saw this huge palatial mansion, and they thought that, let's take rest here. So somehow they saw some tables, and they took out their deities, they put their deities on the table, they start doing some puja. And this lady, from the top of the palace, she saw these boys, she saw these devotees, and she was so attracted. She was like, wow, amazing. So of course she was very ashamed because of her profession. But what she did, she um, went down, and she thought that these are special people, very pure people, and I should do something for them. So she took a plate of jewels. She took a plate of jewels and she gave it to them. And they said, she said, yeah, this is my place. I live here. I'm very happy that you came here. And this is something I would like to offer. They said, who are you? What do you do? And she lowered her head and said, you won't want to know my profession. And this is very important part of the pastime. So she lowered her head, and actually she started crying. She started regretting that she had such an abominable profession. And the devotees were, of course, they did not judge. That's the thing. They did not judge. Like, she could feel it that they were not judging. They were not judging her. So she invited them to stay for a few more days. She fed them. She served them. And then she asked them, what should I do? So they said, you make a crown for the Lord. With these jewels, you make a crown for the Lord and you offer it to the Lord. She said, are you serious? I have such an abominable profession. I'm so fallen. I have such a sinful life. The Lord, will he really accept me? She said, yeah, Krishna is very kind. No problem. So she made, a crown. It was not easy. So she made a crown, and she went to the temple herself and presented that crown and said that I want to offer this to the deity. They said that, who are you? He said, no, I'm sorry, I cannot tell you my profession. It's too abominable. And again, as she said that, she started crying, and she said that this is my profession. This is how I got the money, and because they were shocked that so many jewels those days, it was very, very difficult, and she was young also. So they said, I don't know if we can accept this. So they went to the Lord, and at that time, the Lord, in the heart of the head pujari, the Lord sent a signal that I want the crown and I want her to physically come and put the crown on me. So they went and told, I mean, the head pujari was little, kind of shocked. So he went in front of the deity again. And when he prayed to the deity, he heard a loud yes, a loud sound of approval from the Lord in his heart. And because she personally went and put the crown on the Lord. So, I mean, this is how Krishna is. Krishna is very, very simple, just like a child, just like a child. So, if we simply uh, promote Krishna, we, you can say, advertise Krishna in this way, then, and if we are ourselves very simple and very humble, we are unassuming, and we identify with them, like we recognize ourselves as one of them, then they'll be very attracted, and they will definitely come, and they will, the benefit is that they will establish in the first look, in the first attempt, they will strike a relationship with Krishna. And that's what we want. We want them to feel Krishna, we want them to relate with Krishna in the first look. So that's our mission. Our mission is to, as much as possible, um, give this knowledge to fallen, I mean, to new people, especially new people. And in that way, we learn the value of what we have. And at the same time, we also serve them. We serve them. And that's the greatest happiness any person can have. If you can serve someone and you can make them feel good in Krishna consciousness, there's no better feeling than that. So that's our mission, our wonderful preaching mission. And that's why Srila Prabhupada gave us all the ammunition required to spread this word to people. So we have to take this mission very, very seriously. And we have to take it as also part of our sadhana. This is part of our sadhana. Just as chanting, studying Srila Prabhupada's books, serving devotees is all part of our sadhana. This is also part of our sadhana. So we are not doing it in a mood that we're delivering them, but we're doing it in a mood that we want to, in some humble way, we want to benefit them. So if we are in this mood, then we can actually slowly and slowly we can transcend the material nature, because to transcend the material nature, only one thing is required, is Krishna's pleasure is required, devotees' pleasure is required. They have to be pleased with us. So we don't have to follow any mechanical process, arduous process to actually please Krishna, but I mean, sorry, to get out of Maya. But what we have to do is we have to please Krishna. And what Krishna is pleased with is the mood of service, the mood. So that's why it's very difficult. Uh, His Holiness Sachidanand Maharaj gave a very wonderful Vyas Puja address about the change of the heart. So it's a very wonderful lecture. Uh, it's there in his YouTube channel. It's really, really astounding. So this change of heart is very important, and it's not easy. It's easy to change our dress. It's easy to change our identity. It's easy to change so many things, but to change our heart is not easy. So Maharaj speaks about how important it is to change our heart by associating very deeply with the devotees, by hearing from the devotees. More and more we do that, the heart transformation happens. So that's the goal of our Krishna consciousness, is to change our heart more and more and more. So of course, Maharaj says at different stages the heart changes differently. And he says ultimately at the stage of bhava bhakti, then the heart, not qualified to speak, but the heart becomes just like butter. And he gave the wonderful example that, if there's butter on a table and it melts, then, it just flows down. So he says, when the heart becomes like butter, it just irresistibly flows towards Krishna. So that's the goal of our Krishna consciousness, is to offer our love to Guru and Krishna, to the divine couple. And the way to achieve that goal is, of course, our own personal practice. And at the same time, to whenever we can, to give this to others, or to act as a humble instrument and give this knowledge to others, and to actually feel how much they're missing in Krishna consciousness. So, the more you promote Krishna, the more you speak about Krishna, the more Krishna becomes attractive in your own eyes, your own heart, and the more you realize the value of Krishna in your own life. So, this is very important. It's a very important mission. And of course, we need the purity to do it. So, we get the purity by serving the devotees, by our sadhana, by our study of the scripture. But it's a very humbling, it's a very wonderful experience to give Krishna consciousness to others, because many times it also reminds us of our past, and it makes us very grateful to Guru and Krishna for coming into our life. Like yesterday, we were in Wayne State, and I was distributing that book in that pub area, and I was thinking that, wow, what Krishna saved me from. I can't imagine my life. I'm waking up today morning, uh, waking up the deity is such a privilege. I can't imagine myself, uh, in my old life. It is such a disgusting life, waking up in the morning and just taking a shower and just going to whatever school or college, and there's no Krishna, just running here and there, struggling for little happiness, sometimes very rarely getting that happiness, most of the time anxiety, frustration, comparing with others, and such a disgusting life. I was in so much anxiety, causing my whole family so much anxiety. I mean, what a change, what a huge difference in my life that I have now. And then I realized that, wow, Krishna has really done mercy on me. Guru has really done mercy on me, when I actually realized that. So that's what I would like to speak today. Please forgive me for anything wrong and inappropriate. Hare Krishna. Anyone has any question or comment?
Really wonderful class. Thank you for sharing many points. I like how you took a diversion from three modes of material nature, transforming them to spiritual energy by cultivating love for Krishna. And to cultivate love for Krishna, we have to love devotees. And how do we do that? By giving Krishna to others, which is wonderful. And then in that you have subcategories, which is wonderful. Actually, is to connect with them rather than doing your own doing my own glorification, talking about I do that. Basically, how do we transform? I like that point which you shared, and I'm just thinking about it because that guy had that thinking about the bad habits, and somehow Paramatma within your heart inspired you to say that statement, and he was like, oh, this is exactly what I was looking for. Um, and that is how his Krishna consciousness started. So that is a wonderful point. Um, Satyananda Swami Maharaj's point which you shared is superb. Talking about this prostitute, and I just had a little realization there. If I think about myself, I'm like a prostitute, give my heart to material energy rather than giving it to Krishna. And now someone asks me what is my profession. Rather than saying it proudly, I actually sort of numb down and talk about, there is no point in talking about my profession, and and then I think about how can I actually in that pastime, personally for me, what touched me the most was Lord Himself is inspiring them. Hey, not that just take the crown. You ask that person to put the crown on me. That is the um, height of compassion, height of mercy. Actually, that you know what, and that person will just give their heart and soul, like you were sharing, just comparing with that, like what I would have been doing if I would not have been in Krishna consciousness, wasting my life going here and there. And actually, that's a very wonderful point because all of us feel that way. What a privilege to be connected to Krishna, who's a supreme personality of God, and not an ordinary person. Maybe some person would have done PhD. He is full with six opulences. So those were wonderful points, Guru. Thank you so much.
Actually, it's very wonderful for me. I deal with children. I speak to them, and when I see the glow in their eyes, I tell. I mean, whenever I remember, I can tell that actually of course, many times I speak strongly to them about practicing Krishna consciousness, but I always uh, end saying that at the end of the day, you're all much more advanced than me, because at your age, I was eating boga, I was doing all nonsense things, and in chant around, I was not eating prasad. So for me, when I say that, it really humbles me. That puts me in my place. That who am I actually? Such a sinful person. So yeah, it's very wonderful. And also one more thing, that Sachinandan Maharaj, I felt so connected to Sachinandan Maharaj. Like I felt so touched by hearing that class, and uh, yeah, it was amazing. Like mm, that's what, like, I feel like in our ISKCON society, the greatest privilege we have is we have so many pure devotees, not only our spiritual master, and it's not like, I mean, as we grow in Krishna consciousness, we feel that same connection with them also. And actually, that is a maturity, you know, that we feel so touched by. Like, just for example, if you consider, you are in the spiritual world, and here's Bhaktivinoda Thakur, here is Narottam Das Thakur, here is Gaur Krishna Maharaj, there's Prabhupada, then would you differentiate between Prabhupada and Bhaktivinoda Thakur? Of course, we are eternally indebted to Srila Prabhupada, and we serve under the direction of Prabhupada. But just as we have our love for Prabhupada, we also have love for Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We also have love for Narottam Das Thakur. So in that way, these spiritual masters are giving us the opportunity to develop our love for them, and our affection for them. And they are so attractive, and they are so caring. Like when Maharaj was speaking, I could feel like how much love he had. Like Sajanand Maharaj says always, my dear devotees. So he actually means it. Like you can actually feel that he actually means, he loves his devotees so much. He has so much love for devotees. He feels so nourished by hearing that. So yeah, there's also one thing I wanted to share. And that's why the most intelligent thing is if we can, first of all, develop our loving relationship with the pure devotees. I mean, we don't have to physically be with them, but if we develop our love for them, then that's the greatest thing we can do for our own Krishna consciousness. Anyone online has any question or comment? Okay. Thank you for tolerating me.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can I ask you one question?
Yes.
Prabhuji, I always have a doubt. Humbling, am I really humbling with, yeah? Okay. I'm humbling with the devotees. That doubt I have, Prabhuji. For seniors, of course, we will listen, we will serve them. But when we, with our, equals, how to, am I really humbling them, or we won't serve them, right, Prabhuji? We are busy with our surveys and other stuff. So how to figure it out that I'm really humble or not?
Yeah. So how we can figure it out is, Mataji, yeah, it's very good. Actually, we have to be very careful with those who we consider our equals. Of course, nobody's our equal. We should, I mean, although we may have friendship, but we should think that we should think that we should think actually, we should to cultivate this consciousness that everyone is more advanced than me. I mean, we have to force ourselves to cultivate this consciousness. Everyone is more advanced than me, because that's very important. Uh, Otherwise, if we think we're equal, if we think we are as advanced, then one day we will start thinking that no, I am more advanced, I am better than them. So we should cultivate this consciousness. And yeah, in our dealing we should be very, very respectful. We should never take it for granted. See, when we start taking for granted devotees, uh, and we start behaving very casually with them. See, behaving casually with devotees in the positive sense is okay. It's okay. If you're glorifying some devotee, like many times I glorify Rohinandan Prabhu, that Prabhu, you're always in ecstasy, you're playing with Krishna. So I joke with him like this, but it's a positive. But we have to be very careful that doesn't go into the negative. So negative means we take a devotee very familiarly. Oh, I know you. I know you have this material attachment. I hope I know, you're so fallen. So then that's how it starts, and then it leads to aparadha. So yeah, we have to be very, very careful that how we deal with devotees. And it especially happens now with equals or with juniors. When we take authoritative position, we have to be very, very careful. If you want to take authoritative position with a junior devotee, then first of all you have to care for him, and you have to be very careful that, Prabhu, I'm taking this position just to convey a message, that's all. And immediately after the message, you immediately humble yourself. So just for that period of time, if you're trying to impress something, like just like your son, you want to impress something on him, that this does not work, this is not acceptable. So before and after we should be very, very careful, because yeah, that okay, according to Vaishnav etiquette, maybe someone is equal, but then at the same time in our heart we should always think that this person is more advanced than me. That's the correct consciousness, and maybe very well true also. How can we say, because in the spiritual world everyone is unique and everyone is the best at that service. So Lalita is not like Vishaka. Vishaka is not like Radharani. Everyone is different, and everyone has a special position. So yeah, we have to think like that, and we have to be very careful in our dealing with devotees. Yeah, and we have to beg for their mercy also. The Prabhu Mataji, please pray for me. And to devotees who are even junior to us, we may not say it, but in our heart we can think like that. We can think like that. That yeah, these people are more advanced. And actually, if we can feel like that, that is really Krishna's mercy on us. That is really Krishna's mercy on us. So we decide the recipe. We decide who will give us mercy based on how much respect. If we have a lot of respect for someone, there's a very good chance that they will give us mercy, that they will give us blessings. So yeah, we have to be very careful with everyone. Should not take anyone for granted, whoever it may be. So yeah, we have to be very, very careful. And you can know very clearly if you are if you are treating a devotee casually, if you're going in that critical zone, you can immediately perceive it in your heart that yes, I am becoming loose. So as soon as how you will perceive that is a consciousness will fall down little bit, little bit, little bit. So as soon as you perceive that, and immediately, yeah, we have to immediately take some measures. What I do in my mind when I see that I'm criticizing a devotee, or when my mind is, immediately I pay obeisance to the devotee. And I meditate in my mind that the devotee is blessing me. So I do this meditation whenever, I see that my mind is falling down. And yeah, so yeah, we have to be very, very careful, because devotees are our greatest wealth. We don't realize it, but they are our greatest wealth. More wealthy than anything else is devotees. So yeah, we have to see, our chanting depends on devotees. Everything depends on devotees, how much they're pleased with us. So yeah, we have to be and actually our greatest joy is also in devotees only. When we discuss Krishna with devotees, that is the greatest joy in our life. There is no greater joy than that when we discuss Krishna with devotees. When you can feel the love that devotees have for Krishna, that is the greatest joy. And Rupa Goswami says that, Rupa Goswami says, to conquer pride, this is the greatest medicine. What is that? When you discuss with devotees about Krishna and you are sincerely appreciated and you are appreciated, then because of the affection the devotees show towards you, you feel that there is no need to look elsewhere for artificial name, fame, pride. So yeah, we have to be very, very careful. I'm
I
sorry.
understand, Prabhuji. So, yes, Prabhuji. I understand
Mm.
everything what you said, but because we are, for my point of view, I'm not criticizing anyone, but I'm not thinking bad about anyone. But we are busy with our service. We are not meeting each other also. Once in a while in the festival, we are seeing all the devotees in the temple. So that time we are so happy. We're hugging and talking and playing and making fun and eating together. And then we are leaving. So is that humble or
Yeah,
we
yeah,
cannot do that?
yeah. That's uh, we have to see time, place, circumstance. Yeah, there's no problem with that. Uh, but the point I'm making is that more important than just hugging and joking and all these things, of course, this is required also, but more important than that is sharing Krishna. So we have to make it a point to share Krishna with devotees. Anything. Yeah, like that's why we have this principle of equals. Equals means friends, to share Krishna. So we have to share Krishna. We have to share the glories of Krishna, some pastime, something we have heard. That's the way we actually build a relationship. And that's that we're really benefiting the other person. So yeah, we have to do that. And we have to make time for that. See, we have to make time to cultivate devotee relationships. If we are, if we don't have any devotee relationships in our life, uh, from whom we are getting Krishna, that means we have missed the point of ISKCON. So we are so busy, we've missed the point of devotee association. And that's the greatest treasure we're missing in this life. If we may be very busy, that's okay. Everyone is busy, we'll always remain busy. The goal of our life is to remain busy only. But if we don't take time out and cultivate that relationship, then we're missing a very important aspect of our life. And personally, because of Vaishnava relationships, I feel that my life is so much more joyful. And naturally, if you build a very heart-to-heart connection with a devotee, that devotee will pray for you. You will pray for that devotee, and you'll get so much strength from that relationship. So yeah, if you feel that, I'm not saying you, but I'm saying someone feels that I don't have time, I don't talk, I don't, then it's good idea to do that, because it really helps in our Krishna consciousness. If Vaishnava relationships are not important, why is Ramchandra Kaviraj, Narottam Das Thakur saying, if I take birth again, then I hope that I have the association of Ramchandra Kaviraj. Without the association of Ramchandra Kaviraj, my life is like poison, like my life is like empty. Why? Because there's such an intimate relationship. So yeah, it's very important to invest. Very important. At least in my humble opinion, it's very important to invest. Otherwise, you don't invest in devotee relationships. You don't see the value of devotees. You just treat devotees like, okay, they are good people, but at the end of the day, I have my bhakti, they have their bhakti. So, you don't, how to say, really draw the strength from their devotional service. So yeah, it's very important to speak about deeper aspects of Krishna consciousness. So not just about just doing arti or doing garland, or that's external, but no, what is the feeling behind it? how do the eternal associates, how they make garland or pastimes of Krishna. Share what you feel in your heart about Krishna, what you experience, any experience you had. You should have someone to reveal that, share that. So share that, and also can share any difficulties you're going through. Take a humble position, like in front of your friend or anyone, that Prabhu or Mataji, I'm struggling, I'm facing this anartha. So in that way, you're taking a humble position, and Krishna become very pleased. Many times you just take a humble position, that solves the problem completely. So I'm sorry, but this is my, I'm not qualified to.
No, I understand, Prabhuji. I understand, Prabhuji. Yeah, I will try to do that, Prabhuji. Thank you, Dandavarpanam. I totally understand. Thank you.
Okay, please forgive me again. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो अनन्तकोटि वैष्णवेभ्यो श्रील प्रभुपाद। हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.